Hello everyone, this is the Archivist for part 22 of 5,000 Years of War. We've got a lot to talk about today as usual, so let's dive right back in this packed 8th century BC, when Sarduri II, king of Urartu, starts a 3-year-long series of campaigns in the region of Lake Sevan in nowadays Armenia. He war against Kalkani, king of Kushalki, probably linked to the Caucasus of Koshia on the coast of the Black Sea. The same year, there is turmoil in Israel after the death of King Jeroboam II. His son Zachariah is assassinated by General Shalom, who is in turn killed by General Menahem after a brief siege of Samaria over here. You should revise your chain of command, Hebrew soldiers. So, Menahem is now in charge of Israel, and he'll quickly have to tame a revolt of Tapsak on the Euphrates, way up northeast, so probably on the very edge of his sphere of influence. That uprising is, of course, and unfortunately, quelled through a bloodbath. Advancing to 748, Sarduri II ends his campaigns against Kushalki by capturing King Kalkani. Beautiful Russian helmet there. If you are a fan of archaeology, you have to press that like button, folks. Admire the war chariots and cavalrymen represented on the helmet. 747. Hello, Egypt. Oh, sorry, situation is really worsening over there, as lands are lost in the south. More on that in a minute. What's really concerning here is that there are now 5 different and rival kingdoms in the country. We have Shoshenq V of the 22nd dynasty reigning from Tanis now. Yuput, no, not you, the 3rd of the 23rd dynasty, ruling from Taremu. Payefjawembastet, bless you, in a small kingdom centered around Henensu, Nimlot III in Kemenu, and Padimanti I in Asyut. Well, I guess we'll let them sorting their affairs a little bit. While this time, Telestes, last Bacchiad king of Corinth, right here, this city in Greece, is assassinated, yes, one more, by his kin, as unrest is shaking the city. Under the Bacchiads, Corinth was accommodated with a double harbor, one Lechaean and one Cancreas, one on each side of the Isthmus of Corinth, that is the link between Peloponnese and Attic. So ships are paying a fee or tax to travel from one harbor to the other on a wooden road. How cool is that? After the death of Telestes, the rulers of the city are yearly magistrates. Oh, and like elsewhere in Greece, Corinth's army is commanded by a polemarch. 746 now. After his father Azarias, Jotham is king of Judah just south of Israel. He will soon submit the Ammonites just east of the Dead Sea, but he'd possibly also suffer a defeat inflicted by the Assyrians coming from way northeast. The Assyrians would have even besieged Jerusalem, but facts are uncertain. In any event, before the end of his reign, Jotham of Judah will fight Razin, Aramean king of Damascus over here, and Pekah, Hebrew king of Israel, to Pekah's advantage. Around the same time dies Kashta, brother of Alara and king of Kush in Nubia. Towards the end of his reign, he managed to submit Upper Egypt. What a feat! Unthinkable until recently. He founded the 25th dynasty, Nubian or Ethiopian, and said of the Black Pharaohs. These Black Pharaohs will rule from Thebes or Tanis later, but will still be buried at Napata, capital of Kush. Now, it is his son Pianki that succeeds to Kashta, and this Pianki will in the upcoming years defeat an Egyptian coalition aimed at countering new Nubian advances. Somewhere from 745 onwards now, the new king of Babylon, Nabonassar, calls for the assistance of Tiglath-Pileser III, Emperor of Assyria. Babylonia is in trouble indeed. The Chaldeans and Arameans now established on its soil, destabilizing it. Tiglath-Pileser from Syria will intervene and broadly kick them out of the country, making it an Assyrian protectorate. See on this Nimrod palace relief in Assyria, riders pursuing an Arab camel rider. In 744 BC, Sarduri II of Urartu continues his campaigns in the region of Lake Sevan, the north one, attacking Kolka or Kula itself now, on the southeastern bank of the Black Sea. These campaigns will occupy him until 741 BC. The following year or the next, a campaign of Tiglath-Pileser III reaffirms Assyrian domination on the city of Tyre of Kinglet Ithobal II on the Phoenician coastline. Here is just one more Assyrian war relief from the palace of Nimrod, with rams in action, cruelties inflicted upon the enemies of Assyria, unfortunately, warriors scaling the walls with ladders, and many more details. Note that these are not bushes, but they are supposed to represent the multitude of Assyrian soldiers by the top of their helmets. And so, in 741 BC, Sarduri of Urartu has submitted Kolka or Kula after taking the city of Idalmusha. Somewhere around here, he also vanquishes, southeast of Lake Sevan, a coalition formed by Eteuni and Uduri. These are the last feats of Sarduri II, whose army, strong of several hundred war chariots, sometimes had to fight against a few dozens at a time. You can admire a beautiful Urartian panoply here, partly Sarduri's, like the quiver especially. In 740, Nubian Black Pharaoh of Nubia, Pianki, takes control of Thebes over here, yes, way up north, having crept along the Nile. He forges an alliance with the Libyans, who are now the dominant party on the northern part of the country. Remember that Nubian pharaohs of the 25th dynasty considered themselves as true Egyptians, and so their customs and art of warfare were very similar, if not identical, to the Egyptians. Around the same time, the town of Amyclea, southeast of Sparta, very close to it, in Peloponnese, is taken by the Lacedaemonians, Lacedaemonia being the other name of Sparta. About 2 years later, Tiglath-Pileser III of Assyria tames a rebellion in Phoenicia, officially made a Syrian province. One Salmanu, king of Moab, could have revolted on the same occasion, along with Menahem of Israel, who finally pays tribute to avoid destruction, and also Judah and Edom in the same environs. Dates are uncertain, unfortunately. An Arab attack of the Kedarites of northern Arabia also occurred against Moab somewhere during the reign of Tiglath-Pileser III, while this time in Anatolia, the Phrygian king Midas III must repulse an attack from the Cimmerians of King Figarash. Cimmerians come from the north around the Sea of Azov and are close to the Scythians, fearsome warriors, mounted archers with composite bows. These nomads of the steppes mount horses low at the withers, around 1.5 meters, or 5 feet if you prefer. Frictions exist between Cimmerians and Scythians, these later possibly the future doom of the former. Scythian women, riders too, could have been the inspiration for the Greek myth of the Amazons. For these rough warriors, drinking the blood of your first vanquished enemy was a tradition, and the craniums of the defeated would serve as cups, more or less ornamented depending on the status of their owner. The god of war of the Scythians, whose name is unknown to us today, was on altars represented by an Akinakis, straight sword of these nomads that you see right here. This hoplolatry, the worshipping of a weapon or weapons, will still exist in the Huns people, for example, until the 5th century AD at least. Oh, and did I mention that Scythians reused the skin of their enemies to make shields, quivers, standards, or clothes? Right, let's move on. 736 BC. It's one of the dates proposed for the start of the First Messenian War, where the Lacedaemonians, inhabitants of Sparta, right here, attack Messenia, northwest of them, fertile land of southwestern Peloponnese. The attack would have been justified by the assassination of the Agiad king of Sparta, Telecles. The new Agiad king, Alcamenes, takes Ampheia sometime soon on the border between Laconia, the region of Sparta, and Messenia. Ampheia will serve as a base for the Spartans, the citizen warriors of Sparta, for their operations against the Messenians of King Euphes. The war will be difficult. The Eurypontid king of Sparta, Theopompus, will be captured at Mount Ithome and put to death by the Messenians of Aristodemos, relief of Eupheus, killed in the engagement. The war is long, the dates uncertain, and it seems that even the Spartans had delayed their attacks towards Mount Ithome by several years because of unfavorable oracles. And do you know what's represented on this face of Mykonos? Yes, the Trojan horse, of course, from the legend taking its roots in the 12th century BC. But what's more interesting is that this Greek vase, roughly of the time of the First Messenian War, gives us an insight of Greek war panoplies of this 8th century BC, before the phalanx was really developed. Helmet, cuirass and shield, spear, throwing spears even, it seems, and straight sword. Okay, on to 735 BC now. Tiglath-Pileser III of Assyria attacks Sarduri II of Urartu. He has reformed his army beforehand, centering it around a professional corps, the Kisir Sari, complemented by foreign contingents, some made of former prisoners of war. Realizing that Tiglath-Pileser could be his undoing, Sarduri allies with Matu-Ilu of Arpad or Arwad. This is a city of the Levant coastline, but also with Sumulad of Milid and Tarulara of Gurgum, both of eastern Anatolia. But alas for him, at least, Sarduri II is defeated, Tiglath-Pileser taking his capital, Tushpa, taking many riches with horses and chariots, including the Urartian king's own chariot. It is Tiglath-Pileser III himself that you see here putting his foot on a submitting adversary. The Assyrian erects a fortress at Uluba in northern Mesopotamia and leaves Sarduri II to cry over all his losses. Quickly zooming in on Assyrian cavalry of the time, Assyrian riders still worked in pairs back then. That's what we can actually see on this earlier depiction. But each fighter was now perfectly able to maneuver his horse while releasing arrows on his own. Lancers accompany archers, riders now mount their horse in the middle of the horse's back, a more stable position, and bit and reins have been improved. Warriors are occasionally protected with metal scales. On the chariot side of things, other elite force of the army, they often attack first against the flanks of the enemy. with 2 to 4 horses and up to 4 men on board, including shield bearers. They soften up the opponent before the heavy infantry, the archers and slingers, with more shield bearers at the center of the battle line, break him for good. Numbers suggest 150,000 soldiers in total, which seems pretty high actually. The following year, 734 BC, Sarduri II tries a comeback by allying with Tyre of King Hiram II, Sidon, nearby, under the same ruler, and another Phoenician city, Ascalon. In vain again, and Tiglath-Pileser III's troops attack Damascus of Aramean king Razin, the Assyrian king submitting Shanip of Ammon as well in the process. 734 is also a possible year for the founding of Syracuse, just over here in Sicily, by Greeks from Corinth. They oust the Shekelish, present for several centuries, from this sector of the vast island. 2 years later, Achaz of Judah, threatened by a Damasco-Israelite coalition, calls for help to none other than Tiglath-Pileser III of Assyria, in exchange of a pledge of allegiance from him. And so, Damascus is taken by the Assyrians of Tiglath-Pileser III. The capital of King Razin is destroyed, and the Assyrians continue their devastations against the Israelite cities, like Dor on the coastline. They receive tribute from Tyre. Ascalon, Gath, and Gaza are soon under control too, King Hanunu of Gaza fleeing to Egypt first, before accepting Assyrian sovereignty. Achaz of Judah had before this intervention been battling for quite a bit against the Razin of Damascus and Pekah of Israel, his neighbors of the north. This Pekah, a former general who assassinated his predecessor Pekahiah with the help of people of Galaad, is probably killed before the end of the year by another usurper, Hoshea. And to finish off with 732, the Chaldean tribe leader of the Beta Mukanis, Nabu Mukin Zeri, coming from the region of Uruk, takes control of Babylon at the expense of Nabu Shuma Ukin II, who just came in power over there in a similar manner 1 month before. It was then poor Nabu Nadin Zeri who'd been kicked out, with the support of both Chaldeans and Babylonians. And now I challenge you to retell me who's who without butchering any of their names. Come on, that's easy. They all have Nabu in their name. Anyway, it's Nabu Mukin Zeri that's king of Babylon now, the Assyrians having, of course, lent some help to him. 730. We report some Cimmerian assaults against the kingdom of Kolka or Kula, southeast of the Black Sea. Come from the north, the Cimmerians or Cimmerians will push on with their devastations until Asia Minor, followed closely by the Scythians. Next year, having changed his mind about Nabu Mukin Zeri's domination in Babylon, Tiglath-Pileser III of Assyria intervenes in October and forces the brief Chaldean king to flee. Tiglath-Pileser takes the crown of Babylon for himself under the name of Pulu. We know that he deported dozens of thousands inhabitants of western Zagros, Medes included, sometime around here, probably because of some unrest caused by them. And that was it for old Tiglath-Pileser for this video. We'll finish it off in Egypt, where Tefnach I, Libyan king of Sais, just over here, founder of the 24th dynasty of this land, battles with the Nubians of Pienki, pharaoh of the 25th dynasty, with the help of several kinglets under his control in northern Egypt. But he is beaten and forced to hide in Kemenu, where small king Nimrod III must surrender after a month of siege by the Nubians. Tefnach must flee again, Henensu falls shortly after, and the army of Black Pharaoh Pianki reaches Memphis, taken too. In the end, Tefnut I must take refuge in his very capital, Sais. And we'll see the unfolding of this in the next video, along with more Greek cities stories, with Assyria still on top in the Middle East. Thanks for your fidelity, your likes and comments. See you all next week.